My grandfather never complained, even when the letters started arriving. He was a quiet man who had worked the same stretch of land for more than 50 years. A small farm tucked just outside a growing resort town, nothing fancy. Cornfields, a weathered barn, a creek that flooded every spring. That land fed 3 generations of our family. Then the WA showed up. At first, it was paperwork issues. Then, boundary discrepancies. Then fines. They claimed his farm now fell under a newly formed homeowners association after regional development restructuring. My grandfather didn't understand how a farm older than the town itself suddenly belonged to an HOA, but every letter came with threats. Pay, or face legal action. The fines escalated fast. $5,000 for unauthorized fencing. $18,000 for agricultural runoff violations. $60,000 for land use noncompliance. My grandfather hired a local lawyer. The lawyer advised settling. It's cheaper than fighting them, he said. So my grandfather paid. Again and again. He sold equipment, then livestock, then part of the land itself, or so he thought. Over 7 years, the WA extracted $450,000 from him. The stress broke him. He aged fast, stopped farming, stopped smiling. When he passed, the farm was quiet, empty. I inherited what little remained. At the time, I lived out of state. Busy job, busy life. I didn't question much, until I received a glossy envelope in the mail. An invitation. Grand opening of Silver Creek Resort, a celebration of community. The address froze me. It was my grandfather's farm. Part 2. The resort they shouldn't have built. I drove down the next morning. What I saw made my stomach turn. Where cornfields once stood were luxury cabins. A spa, a man-made lake, a golf course stretching across land I had walked barefoot as a kid. The barn was gone, the creek rerouted, and the sign at the entrance. Private WA property, no trespassing. I didn't confront anyone. I didn't argue. I went straight to the county records office. That's when everything unraveled. The WA never owned the land. Not legally. They had pressured my grandfather into paying fines tied to parcels they never had valid title to. Worse, when he sold small sections under pressure, the deeds were improperly filed, overlapping boundaries that quietly transferred far more land than intended. A rushed survey, a missing signature, an unrecorded correction, and because I inherited the remaining parcels, and because the WA never finalized ownership of the core acreage, the resort sat on land still legally ours. I hired a real estate litigation attorney. A ruthless one. On the morning of the resort's ribbon-cutting ceremony, guests sipping champagne by the lake, the WA board received court papers. Cease operations immediately. Unauthorized construction. Trespass. Restitution for extortion. The panic was instant. They tried to negotiate. Offered money. Silence. Partnership. I declined. The court froze the property. The resort shut down overnight. Staff sent home. Bookings cancelled. Investors furious. 6 months later, the ruling came down. The HOA was ordered to return the $450,000, with interest. Pay damages for emotional distress. Cover legal fees. And surrender ownership of the resort structures built on my land. Silver Creek Resort reopened the next year. Under a new name. My name. I kept one thing untouched. A small patch of land near the old creek. No cabins. No fences, just a plaque. This land belonged to a farmer they tried to erase. And every time an HOA story pops up online, I remember. They thought they were extorting a helpless old man. They never expected his grandson to read the fine print.